And we're back on another episode of Salient Points number 121. This one is for September 26, 2023. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalan?
Master of the Xbox game chat.
Okay. I hope that's a compliment. I hope it's a compliment.
No, it is not.
Look,
it is not.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's true. Now that I remember. There was snafus happening, all right? There was I'll call it a snafu. We were trying to play, and I kept jumping in and out of the chat. I didn't know what was happening, all right? We're always on PlayStation.
So confused.
Yeah, so we took a couple weeks off. I did have a test last week, but I did make some time. I wanted to throw in a shameless plug here. The movie The Creator is out this Friday, September 29th. We went to go see it last week. I put up a review of it. I didn't see too many reviews of it, so I think, and we got quite a few views on it. I'm pretty happy, I guess, how it's quote-unquote performing. But if you want to hear what I thought and my wife thought, she actually showed up on Seen It here. We talked about the movie. Go watch the review. We were okay on it. We were okay on the movie. It definitely sets up a nice little world. If you want a big sci-fi movie to go watch, I definitely recommend it with some caveats. But go check that out. I did do a written review, and we did a video review. That's out this Friday. The video's up. Go check that out. Dalan Kirkwood from Up in the Mountains, thank you for joining me, sir. Sorry to have you go through that. I apologize. But thank you for being
here. Go through the mountains? What are you talking about?
Go through the promo. Because you're like, when is he gonna say my name? So there it is, Dalan Kirkwood.
Nah, it's fine. And thank you for eventually introducing me.
I told you, I apologize, man. Damn. Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you for joining us, sir, as well.
Super low.
That's why I'm like, don't step on this man's lines. But always remember, the audio is engineered by Luis. That is always the crispest version of this podcast. Right? We just do video because people like seeing people when they talk, I guess. But honestly, the audio is the best version of this podcast is the one that's on SoundCloud that Luis perfectly engineers. We did want to make another announcement. Of course, Deo, he's not here this week, but hopefully he'll join us next week. He had some stuff to do. But he did throw out a PSA on Twitter. He said, and this is regarding that there's a new ransomware group that's claiming to have breached, quote, all of Sony systems. End quote. Deo said, delete your credit card info on PSN and change your passwords right now. Make sure to have 2FA activate with two-factor authorization, I think, right? Authentication activated for all your financial services and online accounts. Can't be too careful these days. I will say, as soon as I saw that, I didn't do anything. I just left it there. I don't know if I should put that on wax, but I'm like, whatever, man. Whatever. I'll just dispute it with the credit card person, the company.
Well, at this point, it's too late. They've already taken the information if anything has happened.
But I guess the suggestion is that you get a new card, I guess, right? That's the thing that you would do, right? But thank you for that, Deo. There was no comments on YouTube this last time, but remember, if you comment, link, subscribe, click the bell. Is that the thing? Is there the bell or something like that? I don't even know what happens on YouTube,
click the bell for notifications.
There you go. Make sure if you leave a comment, you'll make it on here. Luis, what do you think about this, man? I know you're a big fan of this, right? The 2FA
big fan of getting. Oh, I thought you meant big fan of getting.
No, not that one. Not that one.
Isn't that so much fun watching all of your life data get sucked away into somebody else's hands? That's awesome.
Lives get ripped to shreds. No, it's pretty much everything I had. Even logging on to PlayStation, I have two-factor authentication. I've had it since, I don't know, a few years ago. But same deal. I saw Deo's tweet and I was like, I'll be fine.
Yes. See, if
it's like they're not attacking us, they're attacking them.
If a man that's a proponent, because I know you, because we share a YouTube account, that kind of stuff or whatever, and I'm like, Luis, can you give me the code or what, man? And so I'm like, if a man like you that's a fan of the 2FA is like, whatever, what do I got to lose?
Well, it's because of that, because I have two-factor, and then also Apple, which is the only card I have on my PlayStation, is really good about, I just shoot them a text and they're like, oh, don't even trip, and like, so.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not worried about it.
Anything else on that, Dalan? Can we get into the kind of the big news of the last couple weeks?
The one thing that I would be concerned about it is, having my phone number and physical address on there. But one thing I find is funny is that my physical address never actually got updated, so it still says that I live on Garden Drive.
Whoa, man!
Hey, I'm not giving an exact
doxing
address.
yourself and shit, man. I'm over here protecting you from yourself.
No. It is where I used to live. I don't live there anymore.
All right.
So if anybody gets attacked, it's going to be the people that now occupy that residence.
Dalan, this thing does not get edited, man. I take the two ends, I snip them, I put the cover, the album cover, and that's it, man. So be careful.
Hey, this is how it works. This is how the whole thing works.
At least people know that it's live, man. You're getting it live, unless there's like huge hiccups, right? Then we cut it together. But other than that, it's live.
It's throwing a whole wrench to the operation when that happens. But I mean, at least this isn't like when PSN was down for like a month, a handful of years ago. Remember that?
Oh, they actually talked about that in the news article that Carlos put up that he failed to put the entire link for. But it happened back in 2011, and Sony ended up having to make a big ass apology because of it.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's rough out there. Look, we'll get into the big thing of the last couple weeks. To me, I know you guys weren't too interested in it, so we'll pick it apart. But Xbox definitely leaked a lot of documents from this whole FTC situation, right? And I do like how they were like, oh, it was the courts, and the FTC came like, it was not us. It was not us. You guys put this shit up there. It was in public view, so this is on you. But yeah, a couple of big things to me I thought was the fact that there's going to be the Xbox Cloud Hybrid console, which is kind of like a cylindrical, kind of an interesting shaped system that's apparently going to be using the cloud for like high definition graphics or whatever, but I'm sure it's going to have some kind of hardware component that's local to your system, right? And they said that the dev kits should be out in 2027. The target launch should be October 2028. For this cloud hybrid Xbox. It's gonna have a 2 terabyte situation going on and a new controller with a gyro, so you'll be able to kind of wave around. Like, remember when Sony said the future was 6-axis? We don't have rumble. Because 6-axis.
Come on, Dalan. I know you want to correct him.
Do it, Dalan.
No, I'm not going to correct him, though. Yes, it bothers the shit out of me.
We're on wax. This is when you do it. You don't do it when we're playing Payday. You do it now. All right,
fine. Fuck, Carlos. It's a gyro system.
Okay, it's a pronunciation.
The gyro.
It's a pronunciation thing. Oh, that's the food, huh? The gyro. So there was a couple interesting things that came out of this leak as well, though. One of the interesting things was how they kind of Microsoft is like estimates like, how much do we need to pay these people to get these games on Game Pass? So Star Wars Jedi Survivor, they estimated $300 million to get that on Game Pass day one, but of course that didn't happen, right? The game is out. It's beautiful. It's nice. Still has an awkward animation when that man walks.
And it sold plenty of money either way it goes.
So they did all right.
There's plenty of copies. Got plenty of money.
But this one was kind of interesting. Another one of the things that came out of it was that there should be scheduling some Fallout 3 remaster, Ghostwire Tokyo sequel. That's kind of interesting. Dishonored 3. It's going to be an arcane-ass arcane game, but whatever. Dishonored 3, Oblivion remaster. To me, this one's the most interesting. Doom Year Zero, because I kind of enjoy my recent Doom games, so I'm kind of down for whatever that is. Dalan, what were you kind of, what did you pick out as? Ghostwire Tokyo, or what?
Definitely Ghostwire Tokyo, but when you say Doom Year Zero, the only thing that pops in my brain is if they decide to make their new Doom game, watch it be a 16-bit game. It's going to be like old school blocky, like square ass barrels.
I don't want it. I'm gonna send it back. I'm gonna send it back. I'd be like, send this back to the chef, please. It's not done. It's not done.
Hey, but Ghostwire Tokyo sequel, I said it before when we talked about Ghostwire a couple of times at this point. But yes, I'm down for a Ghostwire sequel. However, I still don't give a damn about the story just quite yet. If they can do something about that story, that's great. But that main story, if you try Critical Path that game, you'd be like, this game is
which is what I probably will do, man. But when I get around to playing it, right? But based on what you guys have said, some of the side stories are a little juicy. So
the side stories is what makes that game.
I'll make sure to dip some into that. Other than that, of course, they pretty much confirmed Elder Scrolls 6 will be skipping PlayStation 5 and will be Xbox only, which, of course, no shit, right? Like, it's like, of course it's gonna be. They don't pay all this money to like, this is going to be on everything. Phil Spencer, about these kind of leaked emails and documents, he said on Twitter, "We've seen the conversation around old emails and documents. It is hard to see our team's work shared in this way because so much has changed and there's so much to be excited about right now. And in the future, we will share the real plans when we are ready." So it's kind of, we'll see. I mean, it is true. I mean, some of these documents that we're talking about, they were kind of from like 2022. So things are likely to change, but subject to change. But of course, remember, they will lie to you. They will lie to your face. So it's possible that some of these things...
They have lied to your face.
They have lied to you. That's plenty of time. Yeah, he said they thought it was disappointing. I did mention like how they were leaked, and they were like, the court did it. And the court's like, no, you guys did it. The other thing that kind of leaked out, which is kind of where we know sort of when these documents are dated, is that in early 2022, they said that 75% of Xbox Series owners own the Series S, which I think is very fascinating. Or the speaker, as DJ Khaled would call it. What is this, a speaker? Dalan, you own... Well, actually, let's go to Luis, because we just heard from you, Dalan, so we'll have you bite your tongue here. But we know you're a Series S owner. Luis, what do you make of this, man, that 75% of their sales were the S?
Yeah, I mean, if they give you the option to buy one and they're lying to you and saying that they're the same thing, they're basically the same thing, then you're going to go with the cheaper option most of the time, I think. What I'm more curious about is what percentage of users only own the Xbox Series X fridge? Like,
the little 6-can.
He said like me. I went out of my way for the limited edition refrigerator.
I only have the fridge.
There he goes. What more do you need? You know, those 6 cans. They're gonna fit some 6. You're not supposed to leave it on. I think you told me this, Lise, right? You're not supposed to leave it on. Mm-hmm. And I think my brother might have left it on. Someone we know left it on.
I think most people will, because most people don't look at those manuals in the packages. They're just like, oh, what is this? Throw it away.
Well, you know what? I do have this little tiny refrigerator in my room. This thing's making noises, all kinds of crap, dude. So I don't know if I have to turn that one off.
Yeah, even those, you're supposed to turn them off every once in a while.
All right, I haven't done that. It's crinkling. It's doing some kind of noises. Dalan, as a Series S owner, wait, was that your thinking, or that these are basically the same? And as we found out, they're not, in the sense that you don't get full 4K, you don't get full whatever.
You don't get a disc drive.
Oh, you don't have the disc drive. Well, yeah, but I mean, okay, yeah, sure. But you weren't tricked though, right? You knew it was kind of not as powerful as the X, right? Or
you felt that that people were getting tricked.
I think that's kind of what Luis. Am I right, Luis? That's kind of what you were saying. That they were saying these are basically the same. No.
Not necessarily tricked, but just like the thinking was, well, if they're essentially the same, this one just doesn't have a disk drive and it runs at a slightly lower resolution, then yeah, I'll go with the cheaper option.
I guess. Did you feel that way, Dalan? I guess when you went ahead and grabbed the S.
I mean, when I originally grabbed the S, because in some cases I do pay attention to the specs. Depending on what it is that I'm trying to purchase.
In some cases.
Specs.
Keywords.
Yes. In other cases, I'm like, I don't give a damn. I'm buying it anyway. But if I'm buying a $300 piece of equipment, I'm going to check the specs. All right. And in this particular case, I read the fact that it doesn't have 4K versus the other one. I knew that was going to happen. But what I didn't know, because they brought it up later on, I believe Microsoft brought it up, they said how playing some of those games were impacting the way that Destiny was playing or something like that. It wasn't as good at connectivity as the Xbox Series X. I'm like, okay, I'm still able to play all the Xbox Series games. That's all I need. I don't care if it's at peak quality at all times. This was my second choice of a system. However, with the way that PlayStation has been raising their damn prices, I'm not so sure about that. Maybe I should have went for that X. I should have maybe splurged a little bit.
And I think, look, and I think I like the honesty, Dalan, right? Because it's like you believe them, and this is what's the case. And like you were saying, it's like, all right, these are things that have been in recent memory. These are recent decisions, right? But are you surprised? It's not too surprising though. I don't know.
It's not surprising at all. Our economy is having serious problems. People still want a game, and so they're like, "Why am I going to spend all my money on the system?" Some people are like, "All right, I'll be economical and I'll buy the cheaper option." but they don't expect it to go so awry in some cases.
I think for me, the surprising thing isn't that people, will choose a cheaper option, and it's like, well, it's basically the same thing. Gets me into next gen, which was part of their marketing, right? That you're in next gen. I think how skewed it is at 75%. I thought maybe 60-40, 55-45 or something like that. But
early 2022, they were still having manufacturing issues, or at least getting those things on the market, right? It's like the S was available, the X was not.
This might be the second episode, Dalan, that you're making some good points out here, man. You're making, dare I say, salient points.
Salient points. Yes.
All right, we'll go to the next things. Phil Spencer also said, amongst those little leaks out there, he said I think this was in an email. He sent this email out. He said, quote, at some point, getting Nintendo would be a career moment, and I honestly believe a good move for both companies is just taking a long time for Nintendo to see that their future exists off their own hardware. A long time. Happy face. I will say this. Someone I forgot to throw it in here, but on Twitter someone did say, it's like, can we go back to when the OG Xbox and they actually went to Nintendo and they basically laughed in their faces for an hour. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's taking quite a bit of time. I think it's funny for him to say that, but it's such a huge company. It's a behemoth of a company that they have the hubris, right? I was like, we'll just buy Nintendo. They don't want to be in hardware anyways. So we'll just buy Nintendo. At least we'll go to you first on this, man. What do you make of this hubris or whatever you want to call it from Phil Spencer?
I from his standpoint, I can understand it. He wants to scoop up as many developers and publishers or whatever as possible, and Nintendo being one of the biggest ones. I mean, one of the top 3 for sure in the console scene. But why would Nintendo do this? It makes no sense for them whatsoever, unless he sees something that just nobody else sees.
Yeah.
Which I think the difference here is that he sees it purchasing them as an opportunity for them to get on Xbox's platform. Which, if that's the case, then why not just come up with a partnership that allows Nintendo games to get on Xbox or Game Pass or whatever, versus just scooping up the entire company. Like, I don't know. Maybe rethink the strategy a little bit.
Well, hey, he said this is old. Remember, he's like, this is old stuff. I'm pretty sure part of the comments that he made were because of this kind of stuff. It's like, they're over here thinking we're dumbasses and just trying to buy Nintendo, huh? Like they're fools over there. But it kind of makes it seem like that's what he was thinking. Well, I don't know if he was fooled, but he was thinking, let's just buy the whole thing, right? Let's have this kind of family-friendly games, which Xbox is really known for kind of more mature games, right? What do you make of this, Dalan?
I feel like Phil Spencer looked at Nintendo and said, oh, these guys have outdated hardware, so we should pick them up at some point. Let's just keep offering it to them. Obviously, getting laughed at for an hour wasn't the reaction he hoped for, but
this is the fact is, he's making these comments like 20 years after that, Dalan.
I know.
In about 2000 or so, they laughed them at Microsoft. Yeah.
And I bet you he's in his office somewhere at some point just thinking about Nintendo like, but how are they doing this? They're fine. Nintendo is fine. They don't need nobody.
it would have to be something like so catastrophic failure for Nintendo to like be like even like a being like, okay, we'll do that. It's just, dude, their war chest from like the Wii and the DS and all these handhelds have kept Nintendo afloat. Trust me, because the Wii U.
Dude, not even that too. There's more to it, which is. Does Master Chief have an amusement park? Like, it's not,
I was like, does Microsoft have an amusement park? What happened to Clippy? Where's the Clippy ride?
The Clippy ride. But yeah, just taking that into consideration, all the merch, the partnership with Universal, the movies, they're fine. They got movies down the pipeline. Like, they don't need Microsoft.
That's why, to me, it's like, it would be so like catastrophic failure at Nintendo, dude. It would have to take like 2 Wii U's in a row, like a failure, right? Like, it's like, and even with the failure that they had with the Wii U and what's the other thing that kind of didn't turn out so? Well, the GameCube wasn't so hot either. I mean, it gave us good games and they did okay, but the GameCube and the Wii U weren't so hot. So even then, they were like, we have this huge war chest. Don't even trip. And now, like you mentioned it perfectly. You made the perfect point, Lee. Is that, dude? It's beyond. It's like beyond the universe at this point, right? Like with the theme parks and the movies and everything. Dalan, Go. Did you have anything else before we get to the next?
Oh no, I was just gonna comment that one of their biggest failures was that Virtual Boy Advance. Like people just stopped talking about it after
Virtual
a while.
Boy without the Advance, but yes, Virtual Boy.
Whatever. It was the Virtual Boy. It was still that was like one of their worst products. I was like, oh my god, what is happening?
Oh, they brushed
at that point.
They brushed that thing under the rug so fast, man. You know, they worked on it. The other thing, so I did have from the Capcom COO, somebody asked him, I think it might have been Axios, maybe what they would think if Microsoft would acquire Capcom, which I think it's a more reasonable potential thing to happen. And the COO of Capcom said we would quote unquote gracefully decline any acquisition offer for Microsoft. But they did say what you mentioned, Lise. They said we would consider a partnership, right? Like kind of a partnership. Maybe give us the money. Give us the money to make some of these games. And I think that would be kind of the way to go, right? So we'll go into quick takes. The big one of the big ones is that Quantic Dream's Star Wars Eclipse is not canceled. It is quote unquote simmering. I'm kind of hyped just because it's the Quantic Dream name behind it, even though the main creator, is a little problematic, I think, sometimes, but that's okay. We're trying to play their game. We haven't heard too much about it, but I'm hyped. I mean, I'm down to play it, but they haven't said too much. It's simmering. Luis, what do you think?
Yeah, that is kind of the situation with, I think, a lot of people in Quantic Dream is like separating the art from the artist, because there has been, you know, horror stories of the developer and David Cage in general. But I'm gonna be honest, I forgot this was a thing, man. I forgot they were working on Star Wars, and then that, just reading that on the rundown, I was like, oh yeah, and I got like a little bit excited again. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Hey, but not more excited though than Supermassive working on the next Little Nightmares though, 3.
That one's gonna be interesting.
That's just interesting, right? That just piques your interest. What would they do with that? As far as the game as well, some more. Did you have anything else on that, Lisa? Or we go to the next thing. As far as that, they did say that you can die in the game and the story will keep going. So that's kind of one of the details that has come out of that game. It's far out. We're talking about simmering. This shit, we're not gonna see it for a while. Something that's simmering doesn't sound like there's a lot of urgency behind that. Another quick thing, of course, is that Cameron Monaghan, I think that's how you say his name, he's Cal Kestis, has confirmed he's working on a third Star Wars game, and I'm sure it's in the Star Wars Survivor series, which they haven't announced. So it's very interesting when we hear actors talking about the stuff they're working on. It's like, oh yeah, I am working on the third one. They don't even think. They don't even think, right, to like, oh, maybe it hasn't been announced. The other thing, of course, is that there is a stream today. So this podcast goes up on a Tuesday, right? That Naughty Dog will have a Last of Us Day stream. And they said they're kind of temper your excitement. No new game or TV news, or, you know, as far as the TV show is concerned. And they're not going to talk about that. So, you know, if you're a fan of The Last of Us, I guess. Is that something you check out, Liz? Is this the first time they do it, or have they done it before? A Last of Us Day stream.
I don't know about every year, I think in October. Yeah, October 13th, I think. Or because I think that's Outbreak Day in the game. Okay. Or either that, or it's just the anniversary of the game's release. But they do something every year, whether it's just like wallpapers or I bought a vinyl one year, like the soundtrack.
So you'll be tuning in later today, because you know this podcast is up right now.
I think so. I might have it on the background while I'm working or something.
Right, there you go. One of the things I think you're more interested in, though, is that they might have cast the role of Abby. It's the actress Shannon Barry. I tried to look up her IMDb. I don't know her.
Yeah.
She does look a little Abby-ish.
I got nothing to say.
She does look a little Abby-ish, though. I don't know if you looked that up, Luis, or not, the actress. Or do you know her?
I did not, because this sort of news, actually, when you said you were excited about this or whatever, this actually is stuff I don't want to know. Like, I actually don't care about this until the company themselves goes like, hey, this is the actor portraying this role, or this is the director, or whatever. I don't care about rumors about this sort of thing until like it's actually confirmed. Okay. Especially because we're on the internet and it's just information overload. There's some things where I'm just like, let me just not worry about this. Let me concentrate on other stuff. So
let me compartmentalize out here and just put that away. That's true. There's a lot of stuff out there, but apparently the role is cast. Whether, like you said, we'll see if they announce it at some point or not. But they've cast. Oh, actually, no. You know what? So it is confirmed by who is it, Craig Mazin? Is that his name? He said we have her casted. So, take that what you will. But I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that it's been confirmed that she's casted, but who it is yet to be determined.
All right, there you go. The next thing on here, Dead Space co-creator Glen Schofield has left Callisto Protocol. He said to, quote, pursue new opportunities, end quote. This is, of course, after Callisto Protocol was a kind of a big flop. I liked it. I don't know if you guys beat it. I did manage to beat the game. I think I might have gameflied it, and I was like, let me beat this to send it back. It was okay. There was some decent production value there. Story was okay, and the action was decent enough. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? He funded this Striking Distance, and he's like, I'm up out of here. Thank you very much. Dalan, what do you make of this, man?
I feel like there was a mutiny at Striking Distance, and he was just like, "Nah, I'm not even going to deal with it." He said he was out, but I think it's funny that I don't think it's necessarily funny. I think it's interesting that he's just trying to make moves to try and take the visions that he actually has to be able to have that type of input. And I'd love to see him put those Dead Space ideas towards other games, because even though Dead Space 3 got completely taken over because they went with the whole microtransaction thing, and then for Callisto Protocol, it just turned out that I guess the
ending was missing too, or something like that from Callisto, and I didn't go back. I was like, whatever, man. This is what you shipped. All right, I'm not going back and like, oh, this is the real ending.
I just feel like he has a run of bad luck when it comes to him helping produce a game. After part 2, it's just been a whole run of bad luck for him. So I wish the best for them.
As far as the ending, Dalan, I was just thinking, what the hell is this? Astaroth's Wrath, or what's the game? Astaroth's Wrath, or whatever it was.
Asura's Wrath.
Asura's Wrath. They sold you the ending to that game as well. But you know what? Something interesting, if you want to call it that, must have happened, man, because you still see him on Twitter. He kind of posts like macabre kind of drawings, right, with like veins and all kinds of monsters. Macabre. Correct. Thank you for that, Dalan. Thank you for that. But he still puts drawings out and all kinds. So there's something in his mind that I think he kind of likes this kind of work, right? Working on monsters and working on like horror games and stuff. But Luis, what do you make of this situation, sir?
Yeah, that's a very strange sort of situation he seems to find himself in in studios, that because he also co-founded the Dead Space dev.
Visceral.
Is
that what I don't know.
At least he was the co-creator, like the lead creator of Dead Space, and then ended up leaving the company. Same thing here with Striking Distance, where like he's a co-founder spearheading the development of this thing, and then whether it was how the game was received or what, who knows. Yeah, it's just whatever his next steps are, I hope he lands something that scratches that itch for him.
Yeah, like I said, I think he lives in this space, right? Like he likes it, right? So it's something interesting, and it's funny because the internet, of course, will blow it out of after poor sales of this game. That's why he left, right? And it's like, well, he just left. I mean,
No, you know what I actually do hope he ends up doing is, even though video games is probably his passion, I would love to see him jump into the Alien or Predator franchise. I'd love to see his
finally make a good Alien game, a good Predator. There's been like one or two over the time, but like,
I was talking about movies, but yeah, sure, the games too.
We want to see him do games. There's enough movies out there, all right? But
not good ones for Aliens and Predators.
Yeah. I think what was the last good one? It was the Alien one.
No, the last good one was the one. Predator, Prey.
Oh no! I'm talking about the games. No, I'm talking about the games. The
last one on game. You're talking about Alien Isolation.
That was the last good one, right? The last decent one. And look, in related news, that someone's leaving, and Hideki Kamiya, who was kind of like I think he was maybe co-founder of Platinum Games, or I know he worked on Bayonetta, Wonderful 101. So he left that as well. My favorite thing though is that I don't know if you guys can look at your Google Docs, and if you ever go to his Twitter,
what is this?
This man,
I saw it earlier.
This man. So this is like, I don't know how long after, but this is after he announced he was leaving the company. He has a picture of him in the bathroom and with his ripped up boxer shorts, and I Google translated what he tweeted. He said, "I just noticed that my pants are torn to a degree I've never seen before." So Kamiya, that's a way to make an exit. It's a way to leave a company. I love that. Yeah, so Kamiya, that one's probably interesting as well. I think that one's kind of interesting because I think they had just celebrated, 10 years of Wonderful 101 or something like that, right? Like it had been a while since the game came out, and he also left. So all these are interesting departures, right? The next thing we have, help me out on this one. I don't have too many details, Dalan. Doesn't mean you go on for 20 minutes. It just means help me out. But Destiny,
20 minutes.
Destiny 2 is quote unquote broken right now. This is according to Eurogamer. I know some of it was kind of like glitches and OP type of stuff, and I know off wax you were like, Carlos, this is why I wanted you to play. I was like, Dalan, I have a test. I have to study for a test.
People are hitting me up while I'm trying to study for this test.
But what's going on with Destiny, Dan? We're gonna dip back in there at some point, right? But what's going on?
It turns out that they're still having problems. The fact is that I noticed it like last week when people suddenly had very OP weapons. People started crafting like crazy. And the game has a weapon craft mode where you can actually put whatever perks you want onto it, or at least it gives you a certain type of perk that you can put onto these weapons. But very recently, the company has come under a bunch of DDoS attacks. So it's just like going to the core of their system, and it's breaking their system basically, and giving people access to things that they definitely shouldn't have access to. They're getting way more OP in PvP mode, so people are dying one-shot kills. It is making basic-ass weapons as strong as exotic
I want to jump in there
weapons.
just to kind of witness this stuff, to jump right back out, because like this shit is broken right now.
But the problem with it as well is that because of all these attacks, there's been a whole bunch of disconnects, and people are getting dropped from the game and getting stuck in queues to try and actually play the game when the server is not full. Okay. It's just been a complete, it's been a complete fucking disaster, to say the least. And basically, Bungie's been trying to put that shit back in the bottle. I understand that a DDoS attack is hard to deal with in the first place, but this has just been apparently an ongoing barrage they've not been able
now,
to
Dalan,
is
it a mess that like it's fun for us to jump into, or no, it's like this is just let's not even play right now?
It would be fun if you took the time to create some of those broken ass weapons. Outside of that, you'd probably deal with people one-shot killing you all the freaking time.
How about this? Fun enough to craft something or whatever to finally beat that dungeon we haven't been able to beat.
Oh, that last dungeon we tried to do? I can't even remember the name of that dungeon right now. And that last dungeon, it was some bullshit when you get to that point when you're trying to DPS
but can we craft something to help us to cheese it to beat?
Quite possibly. That's not even a joke. Quite possibly.
All right, there we go. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see.
Too might help. Final shape might help.
Final shape.
He's talking about the new expansion when that comes out, because it's giving you extra powers, especially for the warlock.
But that's not out till like February, man. We're not gonna.
It's February of 2024. We want to try and do it before then.
I guess, just to see what the real challenge is. Anyways, the next thing out here, of course, is in the last couple of weeks, there's been some Unity drama, and it's basically, I think Unity. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, is they're trying to charge for installs of games, where it's like, and a lot of Unity is used by indie developers, where it's like, this game is free and we're just barely getting by, and because 3 million people, 4 million people downloaded, now you're charging us for it, right? So they've kind of gone back and forth, and Unity has said, one of their tweets was, "We have heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst. The runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday caused. We are listening, talking to our team members, community, customers, and partners, and we will be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in a couple days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback." One of my favorite GIFs out there, if you guys, maybe I'll retweet it just so you guys can see it, because it was kind of hard. It's like a random person on the internet, right? But they have that clip of, remember when the Xbox was announced? It's like, oh, digital future, and no, you can't share your games, and PlayStation was like, this is how you share your games with your buddies or whatever, and they moved the disc over. So they did a GIF with this where it's John Riccitiello popping his head up and like taking 1 cent out of every time that thing is shared. So I was like, okay, kind of Unity. Do you know something about this, Dan? Do you have a couple of comment about it?
I do. They were trying to charge developers 20 cents per install. And that includes if somebody deleted their game and decided to later reinstall it, then the developer would once again be charged that 20 cents. Yeah. And somebody did the math, saying that if you had 1 million people install something that uses the Unity engine, that's $200,000 off the bat.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money really fast.
And I mean, if you're a big hit game, which they're looking at these big, humongous games, they're like, oh, we need more of a cut or whatever it is from it, right? Maybe you could kind of afford it, right? Or whatever it is when people are paying for it. But some of these are like free games, right? Some of these are like not really, they don't have whales necessarily, right? Where it's like they can make up for these fees. So it's definitely Unity being a little tiny bit greedy,
I mean, it gets more complicated when you consider the fact that just like there's a 30% taken off the top already just by having it like on Steam, PlayStation, iOS, Google Play.
Yeah.
So you're already losing money. By the time you'll probably get like 50% of the money of a game if you sell it, and they don't only installed it once.
Yeah.
With that.
So it's really wacky. We'll see what happens, but it's like I like this tweet that's obviously like in bad, I don't know what you call it. It's like bullshit. It's really like you're reading just some bullshit. Like it's like, oh, we care. We're like, no, you didn't, man. You're over here trying to like, and I understand it's a business. That's part of a business, right? You're trying to make money, but
you're screwing the developers, and developers are like, nah, we're just going to use a different system. You have your system.
I would think that's what happens, right? I would think that's what happens. Well, we're not going to use Unity, and I think some of them have already said that as well, right? So
yeah, a bunch of them jump shipped already.
Or Unreal. My favorite part about the announcement, though, is the confusion. I apologize for the confusion and angst. It's like there was no confusion. Everyone understood exactly what you were trying to do, and they said, no, thank you.
They said we do not want this, but yeah, it's rough. Huh? Like when those are sweeping the thing is, it's like a lot of people use Unity. I see Unity pop up all the time, like with indie games or whatever it is. So it's rough. We'll see what happens, but I think that's the easiest. Well, I don't know if the easiest, but because I'm sure it's gonna take some cost for these developers to switch over to the other engines, right? But that's what's going to happen, right? They're going to leave. We're not going to do that. The next thing I want to mention real quick is that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the deluxe edition, not only will have one steelbook, but we'll have 2 steelbooks. I might be down. I don't know, but I might be down.
Wait, Carlos, do you know why it's going to have 2 steelbooks?
Please do explain. I just read 2 steelbooks.
Okay, you understand that Final Fantasy VII by itself is a huge game. And the original Final Fantasy VII remake that came out was just the tip of the iceberg because they only cracked the first city. It's 2 discs because of the length of the game itself. So it's actually in 2 parts for the second game.
Why give you 2 steelbooks? I've had steelbooks where they fit Carlos, 2 discs in a steelbook.
No. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. I guess that's what you're talking about. But the fact is that they decided that you're gonna have a steelbook for each disc.
I'll take
and it's a lot of game. And guess what? It's not even the last Final Fantasy remake that's supposed to be coming out.
Yeah. Oh, there's another one. There's a third part.
There's gonna be another one.
But I'm down for 2 steelbooks. I'll take it with a grain of salt. I'll investigate. I should have investigated further. Obviously, I didn't.
No, this is one that I actually investigated.
Okay, 2 steelbooks for the 2 discs, huh? Okay, we'll see. This one's for you, Dalan. Division 3 will soon be entering development. That's according to Save You a Click. I've been following this account called Save You a Click. That means I don't have to dig in there myself. And they're with all the the clickbait type of articles. They're like, you know what? We're gonna tell you. So this is from Save You a Click. They said Division 3 was announced in a blog post that talks about Gertie's promotion to executive producer and how he will be focused on building a team for the game, which will be led by Massive Entertainment. So the game will soon be entering development. I know we both played Division, but I think you got into it a little bit more than I did, right, Dalan?
I did. I played Division 1, and then when they moved to Division 2, the game almost broke the day it launched, and then got to Division 2. That was fun. But the problem with the Division games for me is even though when the Division games came out, it was before COVID, then COVID happened, and everybody was like, oh, damn, they saw COVID coming. The biggest problem with the game for me, and for you, as a matter of fact, Carlos, is that once you hit max level, you're like, all right, I did everything I want to do.
Yeah.
So,
well, my favorite thing, I don't know if we said, we might have said it on Wax before, Dan, but my favorite thing was like, I might have been like level 20, 22, 23 or something like that. And I think I joined you for a session. And you're like, here you go, Carlos, here's all the max stuff. I'm like, yes, okay, I'm done, I guess. I did everything in this game because I'm max level in one session with you just dropping all the gear. So thank you for that. But 3, you're excited for 3. That should be good.
I feel like 3 is going to have the same problem though, unless they actually revamp their combat system. Because I still feel like all the enemies in that game are still very bullet spongy, and it takes forever to kill one guy. We tried to do a raid once, and we were all huddled in a corner with nothing but explosions all around us, and we still we just could not get to the tank.
There's something about Bungie, and because you can argue that Bungie games they're a little spongy, the enemies are a little spongy, but it's just fun. It's just a fun game. It's just a much smoother game, I would say. I did want to mention as well that don't expect a new Steam Deck anytime soon, maybe late 2025 or 2026. This is again from Save You a Click. They said Valve wants to make a new Steam Deck, but changing the performance level would need to be significant and not at the cost of power efficiency or battery life, which may take several years, possible 2025 or 2026. The next thing, this one's directed at you, Dalan, because I think you might have. Did you do a review? You might have done a review.
Yeah, I
Morales,
did.
right?
I did a written review of Spider-Man at some point, and I talked about
so
this.
make sure to go check that out. But at some point, one of the little extra tidbits that we do on the reviews is that Dylan was like, they changed the face. What did it do to this man's face? But the actor, this is from Kotaku. I think it's the actor was talking about to just kind of get over it, Dalan. He said, and this is from Kotaku, in an interview with comicbook.com published Thursday, Lowenthal said that he got over the change as soon as Insomniac explained to him it would help improve Parker's facial animation, telling the studio, quote unquote, I'm all in. After learning about why the change was being made, the performance was the same for me, said Lowenthal. I don't care if he looks like a goblin. If my performance is better, then I'm in. I'm kind of tired of talking about it, to be honest. Dalan, he said Dalan, because I think everything that needs to be said has been said. Okay, Dan, now you understand why I had to change the face, or what's going on?
Dude, if you had read my article, Carlos, I was all for the change. I had no problems with the change, but a lot of other people did. They were just like, no, you can't change his face. This is the one we come to know and love. Shut up. It's a video game. I mean, they changed Nathan Drake's appearance I don't know how many times through the series of Uncharted. They changed Dante from Devil May Cry multiple times. Nobody said a word. At some point, he had super long hair, but then they were like, nah, let's cut it short again.
I feel like this is a changing of a tune, Dalan. It's changing a tune, but I don't know. Were we doing salient points when you put that up? We might have. We go back.
Yes, we were.
There's a cyber sleuth out there that wants to kind of like, no, Dalan said this. He hated the face. Now he's retracting his statement, which is fine. He's okay. Luis, what do you make of this situation? Oh, you were coming to Dalan's defense for a moment. He's not retracting. Has been.
No, yeah, his article, he was like, whatever. I'm cool with it. People are mad about this. Basically, what he said.
It's still the same. Okay. I don't know where you're going with this, Carlos. You keep throwing me under the bus for something that's not true.
For whatever reason, I remember you being like, "This is so dumb," but I'll believe you because it's 2 against 1 at this point. And I put a lot of credence in Luis's statements because he's not just he's not by his seat of his fucking pants all the time speaking. All right.
Hey, let me cook. Let me cook.
Let him cook. Luis, what do you make of this situation here, sir?
I'm with the on their side about like who cares. I mean, sure it was a kind of shock because it was a drastic change in his face. It wasn't like with Uncharted, at least with that example, it was like from one game to the next there was an evolution of his changes versus
and graphics.
If they just like went from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 4, and people would be like, whoa, this is okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the only reason we're talking about it is because he's talking about it again. But I think his comments were mostly probably directed to whoever was interviewing him. Yeah. There's like, I'm kind of done talking about.
Why are you asking me? But what is this? Comicbook.com, if that's even your real name. And you guys are right. Well, you're right on that. Both of you on the Uncharted thing. My daughter's been playing Uncharted 1. That game looks rough, man. The controls are rough too. I actually like. Hey, let me play around a little bit. It's like that guy definitely is making circles when I don't need him to circle. So
I almost did not play that game because I hated the way the game played on the demo. Yeah. I almost completely bypassed that game, and then it turns out that would have been a huge mistake in my life. Uncharted is an excellent game.
It could use a remaster. You know, they made Skyrim fucking 25 times. Or Last of Us Part 1, which is incredible, by the way, right? They remaster. We could use a little remaster of Uncharted 1.
They kind of did, didn't they? Kind of do that with the Nathan Drake collection.
That's the version I'm playing. That is the exact version I'm playing in this track.
It's so rough.
They only did textures, like
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks a little cleaner, but it's rough. It's rough. It's still rough.
Hey,
but yeah.
Did you get to Uncharted 2 yet?
No, I played them, man. I don't want to ruin my beautiful memories of my rose-tinted glasses of going back to
Uncharted 2 was an excellent start to a series of games. So
definitely. They definitely honed it in, and it was incredible, man. 2 it was an incredible game.
You were happy with their water physics in rain.
I was. If I look at them again, it might be a little rough. But so the next thing, I just wanted to mention this real quick. Like a Dragon Gaiden, I think is the name. If correct me if I'm wrong, Dalan.
I will not.
Gaiden, the man who erased his name, is day 1, November 9th to Game Pass. So I guess I'm playing a Yakuza game. I haven't played one in a while. I'm not gonna. I know my brain is broken that way, and I want to play through the ones I missed. But those are long ass games. They're like 40, 50 hours long, man, and I'm not doing it. So I'll probably just jump into this one since it will be on Game Pass. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth was also announced, which is the follow-up to the last mainline game, I think, January 2024. And Danny Trejo is in the, if you guys are a fan of that actor, he's gonna be in the game. This next thing is for you, Dalan. Sea of Thieves will finally get a single player mode. It's really kind of like its own like PvE server called Safer Seas. You can play by yourself or with buddies. That drops in December. You're kind of hyped about this, Dalan? You don't want to play amongst
I am simply because I am simply because playing Sea of Thieves with the homie in this game, in this case Nick, shout out. I played Sea of Thieves with him, and we went on our whole sea adventures. Our ship was potentially going to sink. We were getting attacked by a monstrous kraken that just had legs coming out of the sea. We went under the water into like a whole temple, and we searched through that temple for like 2 hours collecting all the treasure we could and sending it back to the boat. But as soon as we came back, we got murdered by some people that was just on our boat. So it was like the whole thing was for naught. They stole all the shit that we did. We lost everything. I was like, nah, that's a very upsetting thing. I want a mode where I could just go and have fun out in this world that they created. And if this is then I will go back to Sea of Thieves.
You want a preschool sandbox where you can't be hurt. Where you can't be hurt by the outside elements. That's what you want, Dalan?
Dude, have you? They have.
I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying, though. I understand what you're saying, though. You're getting ransacked while you went on a mission, a good adventure, and
we didn't get ransacked while we were on the mission. We had fun on that mission. There were monsters in there. We still had to kill stuff, solve puzzles, but afterwards got murdered almost instantly because these people were just murderers and they had all these weapons. They were just like, I see this boat, we're taking it down. Then they sank our ship and left us in the ocean to die.
I like it. That sounds like a beautiful story to me. To me, that's.
Hey, if you want to go out and just pirate on people, that seems like a way to go. But I want to start out learning the game and having fun at the beginning, not jumping into I'm getting stabbed every 5 seconds. It's like playing, what was it, Battlefield? How you go out into the battlefield and you're getting shot every time you look over a wall? No, that's not as fun.
So maybe I join you guys. I don't know. Maybe. In December, right? You're going to jump back in? I'm assuming to try
PC. Well, I'll be on PC, but it is crossplay. It is crossplay.
Next thing on this, Dalan, Tekken Ball is back in Tekken 8. Do you have fond memories of Tekken Ball?
I actually do. That game was ridiculous, and the ball, just hitting people in the face with that ball was actually a very exciting mini game that they had. But I don't know if Tekken Ball is going to be as well received as it was back then, because back then they had a bunch of stupid mini games.
What was the last one it was in? What was the last Tekken it was in?
Tekken Ball?
Yeah.
I think they had it in Tekken Tag. They had it in Tekken
PS2, right?
tournament.
That's PS2, so that's
yeah,
a while ago.
PS2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite some time ago. But they also had other like mini games where you had like adventure mode and stuff like that. And obviously there are other games that had like little board games in the middle of their game, and it doesn't make any sense. But it was there, and people played them, and they had fun. Nowadays,
Tekken Ball.
if you don't get a trophy for it, you're not going to do it.
Oh, me. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Next thing, look, I don't know if you guys have seen the videos. They're kind of hilarious. And people have been doing like little side-by-sides of Mortal Kombat 1 with the Switch version compared to the big boy console version. It looks like trash. But Ed Boon, which I almost got ran over a few weeks ago. Sorry, Ed Boon. But he said the issues with Switch, Mortal Kombat 1 will, quote, unquote, will absolutely be addressed. Dan, what do you think? They do need to address console issues because we couldn't connect. We can't even connect on the big boy version. They definitely need to update that. But the Switch, I think it's further behind, right?
Hey, thank you for calling it the big boy version, because putting Mortal Kombat on Nintendo Switch at all was probably a huge mistake on their part, or at least to me.
Ill-advised.
I don't know if they have, it was very ill-advised, because you already knew that they were going to have to dumb it down, because they mentioned on multiple occasions that even with the Switch OLED, you still have, or what do you call it, the SWOLED? Even with the SWOLED, it's still not as good as playing it on console or even PC.
Well, I mean, the problem with the SWOLED is not even like a hardware upgrade, man. It's literally the same Switch, but it just looks prettier, you know?
It's still a problem. It's still a problem. So, they just don't have the what is the word I'm looking for? They don't have the mechanics inside the Switch to be able to really handle Mortal Kombat 1 the way it should.
So they're working on it. They got their work cut out for them, because that looks rough, man. Look at some Switch Mortal Kombat 1 videos, and it's rough. Next thing we have on here is Netflix Onimusha is coming November 2nd with quote-unquote controversial Takashi Miike, director. He did Audition, and he did Ichi the Killer. What do you think, Dan? Does that mean anything? I guess that because he's a live action director, right? I don't. He's not really anime or anything like that. Which this is gonna be kind of an animated series or show. What do you make of this?
I think the controversial part of this is the fact that a lot of people already thought that he was putting too much cheesiness into his films, and then on top of that, he talked crap about video games altogether. Okay. He wasn't a huge fan of video games by itself, and he actually talked about how telling a story of fantasy was a farce to the film industry. So in this particular case, having him do Onimusha, which mainly deals with demons and the underworld and stuff, it's kind of like, is he going to be able to do Onimusha justice?
I'm kind of interested that something convinced them to take a video game story and like, let me make an animated. So I'm actually kind of interested in watching it now.
I think the biggest portion of it that he said, all right, let me do it, is the fact that Onimusha is grounded in some parts of Japanese mythology. And it takes a lot of Japanese traditional stuff. And, you got the samurai, you got the Nobunaga, you got the wars that went on and stuff like that. But then you throw demons into it and everything changes really fast.
Dalan, we got to do that fundraiser, man. Black man in Japan, dude. We gotta go, man. You gotta come with us when we go, Dalan. I don't want to hear about,
Black man
I don't
in
have
Japan.
the cash for it. We'll do a fundraiser or something, man. Black man in Japan that knows some of the history, because you will be our guide, sir. You'll be our guide. Next thing, and we expect you to learn Japanese, a lot of it.
Hey, man, I'll just tell you how to not get stabbed. Don't bring your guns, because you will get arrested immediately. But I can tell you how to not get stabbed.
You're looking forward to this. You're gonna check this out. Onimusha, November.
Oh, I thought you were talking about looking forward to Black Man in Japan. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that.
But Onimusha, you're tuning in, right? Maybe we do
Onimusha, water physics. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe a little Saint, potentially, maybe. Right?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch that. There's no question about it.
All right, there we go. Potentially a Saint. The next thing we have, of course, is Starfield, the official Twitter page, saying, thank you to more than 10 million hashtag Starfield explorers for creating the biggest launch in Bethesda history, which to me is always kind of funny because it's on Game Pass, and of course you just click and download. But it's like, well, is it downloads? Did you sell that many copies? But anyways, 10 million people have touched the game. I guess we can. It's safe to assume. Luis, what do you make of this historic thing for Bethesda apparently to have a big launch.
I mean, that's a huge launch by any developer standards at this point. So yeah, that's awesome. I haven't gotten that far into the game, but I can see why people are playing it. Yeah, I know it's kind of like I guess maybe possibly like you're saying, inflated numbers because of Game Pass. But either way, I mean that's a win-win for Microsoft and Bethesda, and then potentially for any other day one titles coming onto there. So it's a success either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome.
There you go. 10 million people. I still gotta dip into it, but there's a lot of stuff, man. I mainly Mortal Kombat 1 story because I kind of want to get that out of the way and send it back potentially.
The backlog is real.
But Cyberpunk, man, yesterday, because this goes up on a Tuesday, but Cyberpunk expansion, I gotta hit that up. Idris Elba, the DLC, I gotta hit it up. But anyway, so the next thing on here, Activision says that this is from all these leaked documents and all kinds of fun stuff that came out from the Xbox leak. But this is from The Verge via Kotaku. Quote, given the closer alignment to Gen 8 platforms in terms of performance in our previous offerings on PS4, Xbox One, it is reasonable to assume we would make something compelling for the NG Switch, next generation Switch, as well. Activision Blizzard said in the documentation reviewed by The Verge, quote, it would be helpful to secure early access to development hardware prototypes and prove that out nice and early, which is to say Activision has kind of seen some of this stuff as far as the next Switch, and it's like it's close to PS4, close to an Xbox One. Dalan, what do you make of that, sir?
I don't know if I could actually trust a word that Activision Blizzard says, but the fact that the Switch 2 having more power in that regard, I'm wondering how thick the console would really be, and if it says mobile as the other Switches that they made previous to this. I mean, is it slimmer but more powerful? Is it bigger and harder
mobile,
to fit in your pocket?
They hit it's really a matter of how do they roll it out and kind of bring along this huge Switch 1.0 user base, right? I think it's gonna be mobile, man, or hybrid or whatever it is. Sorry, Dan.
But I still have the same issue that they did when they made what was it, the Switch Mini? I'm going to call it the Switch Mini. I can't remember what it was called. But even when they came out with the OLED, the original Switch controllers don't really fit on the OLED, right? Yeah. You have to actually have Switch OLED controllers.
No, they fit.
No, that fits? Yeah. Okay, it's just the dock. Yeah. It's just the dock then.
Think of the bezel, the little bezel, the space between the frame and the screen of the Switch, they widened it. They wide. Still fits. It still fits in there. Well, actually, the dock. Maybe you're right on the dock. I think the dock.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the dock for damn sure. I know that. You had to have a specific dock for it. And I'm wondering if the same thing is going to occur with this new one, if it's going to actually impact both the dock and the controllers. Or maybe it'll just impact the controllers and not the dock. The fact is they got to make an adjustment somewhere.
I'm going to tell you, and they need to make it work. I'll put it to you like this, Dan. I don't care, man. Just give me a better
You're going to buy it.
I'm going to buy it. It's going to come with 2 new controllers, whatever. I'm sure it's compatible with the older ones, but whatever.
Wait till it rolls out because you bought yourself a PSVR 2. How much have you been playing?
Hey, I said it from the beginning. I'm a sucker for this stuff. I played it for a whole 25 minutes, dude.
I said it from the beginning. I'm a sucker for this
I am kind of considering Resident Evil 4 VR. Maybe I'll tinker with it because it's more of an action-y kind of Resident Evil. It's not as scary as shit as 7 was or Village. Was it? No, the one before.
Yeah, it's Village. 7 and Village.
But
right.
The one before that was PSVR 1. It was actually from the beginning. That one was I started seeing those little 100 leg centipedes or whatever. I was like, I'm good. I think I will step away from this now. I don't need to be in these walls right now. Luis, to stay on top. Dylan's thinking. Let him think a little bit.
Yeah, it was Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village. Village was 8, wasn't it?
But Village has VR, or it took them a while to get VR?
It took him a while to get VR.
Luis is waiting his turn, Dylan, patiently.
Go, Luis.
To stay on track. What's up with the Switch 2 and Activision's it's about the PS4 level. Or, Xbox One.
Yeah, the way that's phrased, to me, it sounds like it's still not as powerful as a PS4 or an Xbox One. But that they're it's a little closer. We think we should be able to make something pretty good with that hardware. So that's just sad, dude, at this point. I mean, I get it. It's been working for them. But at the same time, it's I feel like they're going to start. I don't know. I was gonna say I feel like they're going to start falling behind, but Nintendo being Nintendo, they can just rely on their own, IPs. But at the same time, if they're having trouble running those, like I was saying, I was playing that Link's Awakening, and it was struggling to run that game. Yeah. We're seeing what's happening with Mortal Kombat right now at launch.
No, that's a different thing, though.
So, well, I mean, that's because they're trying to. I think it was just probably so difficult to try to optimize things that they kind of did. Like, I've been on teams that do this before. We just kind of do a blanket optimization of, rather than like checking the level, the characters and combinations of things, you just go, okay, let's just reduce the textures, let's just reduce animations, it's just and you just kind of go across the board without checking like per instance. I feel like that's kind of what happened, and it kind of bit him in the ass.
Which is unfortunate, and they keep doing this though, right? Like, they keep doing this, and it's a $70 game too on the Switch. Like, it's like it's pretty ridiculous, man. So I feel like it's fair for them to get called out every single time, right? But and just to be clear, for me, I don't expect the next Switch to be like on the PS5 or PS6 level, right? I just want it to be better and be able to run a Pokemon game for Luis, at least, for Luis's sake. Can you run
for Luis? Just run a good Pokemon game,
please. Can you run a Pokemon?
Fill in the gaps. Don't let it be bland ass areas.
Well, yeah.
Put some grass in that bitch.
With the first true open world Pokemon game, there was nothing. There was nothing in the world. So, like, what's the point of doing that if you can't even like have the? And then the assets that are in there, you see the animations running like, one frame every 5 seconds or something. So.
It's ridiculous, but
bitch,
hey,
where's my grass?
So we've been hearing about that. Next year we'll we'll see kind of what happens. There was a Nintendo Direct, there was a PlayStation and a Capcom Direct, but I guess that kind of wasn't too. We didn't really think too much of those, but I did want to mention, as far as Nintendo Direct, they did announce quite a few things. F-Zero 99, which I tried a little bit, but I gotta get more into it. That seems kind of cool. Princess Peach, remember? I think we said it on Wax before, but it was like Princess Peach is in the game. They finally gave her a title, Princess Peach Showtime. Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, which is kind of interesting. It's
got a remake.
It's a lot of old stuff.
Hey, no, they gave it some new skins, and it looks a little more cleaner, beautiful.
But it looked good.
It's polished.
It looked good then. The interesting thing is Luigi's Mansion, of course, 2 HD, which came out on the 3DS, was called like Dark Moon or something like this. So it's kind of interesting that they're kind of shifting around the names. Mario versus Donkey Kong, which was like an original Game Boy, the black and white Game Boy, which was pretty cool, but it was more of a puzzle type of Mario. But fun fact about Mario versus Donkey Kong was that's where you got the triple jumps. That's the first time you saw a more aerobatic Mario that you started seeing in Super Mario 64. Other than that, of course, acrobatic. Yeah, you know the little 3 jumps thing. It started in Mario
Carlos.
Donkey Kong.
You said aerobatic.
Oh, well, whatever it is, man. You understand what I'm saying, all right? But Detective Pikachu Returns. There was a Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. You will never get that 3D remaster remake, but this one looks kind of okay.
If this one does well enough, I'm hoping that they'll take the extra time to actually do the remake of Prince of Persia 1.
The one that looks a little. I'm interested to see this because my daughter just started getting into the Tomb. Dude, she loves Uncharted. Like, she's played through all the games, and she's like, "What else, Dad?" I'm like, maybe the Tomb Raider games. And she really likes the new Tomb Raider games. But these old ones, she's gonna
put it down.
These old ones, though. I was trying to explain to her what tank controls, and she's like, "What?" She did not understand. And I was like, if there's a physical copy, I'll gameplay. I don't know if I'm gonna plunk down cash for Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remaster, which they didn't do a lot of remastering. It looks still about the same, but we'll see what they do with
that. No, it doesn't. It looks significantly better, but I guarantee the gameplay has changed little to none.
I'm gonna wait for the reviews, man, or if I can gamefly a copy or something, and see if she can put up with it, right, with the tank controls of it. And they are remaking Contra as well. Contra Operation Galaga. That one looks kind of cool. If there's online or something, Dan, come over, do some co-op. Don't throw the grenades though. Don't play that dangerous game.
I was more interested in Wargroove 2. That's what I was more interested out of that. And the one game that both me and you and probably everybody else we know that plays RPGs was looking forward to was the Uden Chronicles. They actually put that up there. No, you were. That's the Suikoden spiritual successor.
Just because Suikoden is fun to say, doesn't mean I want to play a Suikoden. I just know it exists. That's all I was saying.
Carlos, you're a trash individual just for saying that.
It was just a moment to say "swoik it in" and like, Dalan,
Just another Muso game.
Yeah, just another Muso game. It's basically just another Muso game. All right, we'll get to one more thing, and then we'll start into what you've been playing. Payday 3 reaches 218,000 concurrent players, which I never know what these concurrent numbers mean, to be honest, but it means something. And 1.3 million unique players on the first weekend. But as we found out, and we'll talk about what you've been playing, we definitely could not connect right away. It took us like an hour, and I think they might have like magically restarted the servers or something. I don't think we really solved anything, but the CEO did come out and say that he's quote unquote disappointed at server issues, and the CEO did come out and apologize. But Luis, what do you make of this, I guess, or I don't know if we're ready to go into what you've been playing, but what do you make of this?
Yeah, I don't have the statement in front of me, but they basically came out and said that it was their partner, one of their partners, kind of made some
their third party partner.
Yeah, that messed up some changes connecting to the server. So yeah, I guess they just weren't aware of it, or there was some quality control issues there with like actually getting that update through.
Yeah,
that caused that issue. But yeah, aside from that, I guess, I don't know, unless Dalan has something to add to that, I guess we could just roll into.
We can roll into
no, everything I gotta say has to do with the fact that we played this game.
Okay, there we go. We'll go into what you've been playing, Dalan. Dalan, you've been kind of holding your tongue here about it, so we'll go with you first, man. We did play Payday 3. Free on Game Pass. Does this Game Pass? I mean, look, Dale, get an Xbox X, man, or Xbox Series X. What are you doing? Go trade that S in. We got this. We got Party Animals or whatever. Then we got the. I don't know if you're a fan of Yakuza, but that's coming out. So Game Pass. By the way, let's get a sponsorship, Xbox. But Payday 3. We played it over the weekend. Let's start with you, Dan. What'd you think? How was our experience, or your experience, I guess, with it?
Hey, the Series S does me just fine. But actually getting into the game, this is where all our troubles began. At the beginning of the story, Carlos could not connect us in a group chat whatsoever. And for whatever reason, the way that the system was built is while you were in the game trying to invite somebody, it would invite them to a party, create an entirely new party, and then you would break off from the original party that you had, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? All I wanted to do is invite some people to my game.
It was rough.
Because I experienced that one time myself, but you did that like 6 or 7 times, Carlos, not figuring that out. And then we tried to actually.
But the good thing is that Xbox, it never got resolved. We just went to Discord. We just were like, we just went to a different platform to talk. But go ahead, Dalan. What happened?
Then when we were in game, I believe we had issues just loading into the game by itself, talking about we couldn't find your account. The logging in was a problem. After I had already been in there for a short period, I had already done the tutorial. I turned off the game and said, all right, I'm ready to play. Came back, what the hell is this? You can't find my account? What do you mean? Then, obviously, trying to get our crew together was a kerfuffle all by itself. At some point, Luis was able to see the list of all his friends, but I couldn't see nobody on my list. I would hit that down arrow, see absolutely nobody. It said 0 out of 41 people online. Then I went to my Xbox friend list and it was like, wait, there are like 12 people online. What the hell is happening?
All this was like flashbacks to when we were playing like Monopoly pretty regularly. And at some point, but look, Ubisoft does not give a fuck about Monopoly, by the way. They do not care about that version of the game. Like that's how much we wanted to play Monopoly, though. It's like, we will play this trash version of Monopoly, but it was flashbacks to Luis. He was the only one at some point that could invite us into a Monopoly match. Otherwise, it would crash or something would happen, but he was the only one.
Anytime we played, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty trashy. Luis, do you have experiences on logging in, or can we get into like kind of what the experience of the game was?
No, everything on my end was fine. So I guess in this case, it's the PC version was better than the console.
Snaps. Okay. That's fair. That's a fair statement.
Yeah. So it was 4 of us, right? It was me, Dalan, Luis, and my nephew as well. We were playing. I never really played games with them, so that was kind of cool getting together. But it's a cool game.
He did fine.
It's a cool. Once you can get past the kerfuffles, past the login issues, it was a fun enough game. I like the shooting in it. It's not exactly like very like heavy. It's a little, like when you shoot it, it definitely feels light, like you're just kind of tapping people. But some of the enemies are kind of interesting, right? You do have kind of a tank character. What did you call him, Lisa? It's the kind of the Modern Warfare guy, right? The big heavy tank type enemy.
The Juggernaut?
A Juggernaut, like a Juggernaut type character. And the most annoying one was, of course, the ninja. Let's throw in a ninja that's doing like front flips on you, and you can't move it off.
Out of a moment of confusion, Carlos is talking about the enemies that could actually pop up. These police officers and their SWAT come in. They'll bring in Juggernauts that have heavy machine guns. They'll have ninjas that are just going in to assassinate people. I can't remember what they called them, but we heard them yell it over the radio at some point, like they're sending a robber killer or something like that. I can't remember what they're called. But it was nasty because they'll just have you on the ground beating your ass.
Yeah, it was terrible though. That was rough. If the ninja character gets to you and it's front flip swiping at you, it's over. It's over. Luis, what you make of kind of what's your impressions? I guess of the game and.
I mean, yeah, the connection thing aside, honestly, overall, I did like the game. I did like that it was more of a laid back sort of situation, not like guess comparing it to another shooter like Warzone or Destiny, like where it didn't take itself too seriously. It was a little more on the wacky side. Yeah, and I honestly kind of liked the gameplay overall. The only problem, I guess, right now is that because we didn't have any money, we couldn't like buy the other kind of cool stuff that we wanted or needed in that case. But yeah, at one point I ended up buying a shotgun, and that shotgun was melting people. So I really
was the weapon you needed.
But yeah, I guess the one complaint is I do feel like unless we're just doing something completely wrong, which is totally possible, obviously. The health and armor situation, I feel like that should be balanced a little more, because at some point it's like I just can't move. Like I'm just stuck in a corner. I'm like, if I peek, I'm going to die. Like I can't do anything right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because it even like with this type of game, it seems like if you go down, that's it, right? You're down a partner, but they'll give you a revive, right? It's a long one. Yeah. It's like a minute and a half or something. Maybe
it's not a minute and a half. Maybe it felt a long time.
No, it was like
a couple of seconds.
Some of them are long. At some point, it was like a 90 second. I was like, I think I even said on the mic, I was like, I'm gonna be back from a long ass time from now.
You're talking about the respawn time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, this type of game.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right, go ahead. I think this type of game is one of those where it's like you would think you kind of go down and that's it, right? There's only 3 guys left, but it gives you like a revive, and that's something like wait for me because I still want to get to the helicopter.
Come back for me.
Let me respawn so I can kind of get some of this loot, which I think it's evened out, because I think there was a couple times where we finished the mission and it was like everyone still got equal loot, right? Even if you were down.
Everybody did. Well, everybody got a semi-equal amount of loot. Some people got a little less than others, but I think that's because like I would pick up like little pieces of jewelry, and I would pick up the big bag that we were going for. But I could say this right now when it comes to the actual gameplay for that particular game, especially when you're playing with friends, because obviously matchmaking not working right now. We gotta case the joint before we go in, because you'll go in, you'll get caught, everything goes to hell, everybody's getting shot. We're like, what the fuck are we doing? Luckily, it gives you objectives in a corner, and it'll actually highlight your main objective. But sometimes you want to get that extra money, so you actually have to figure out other things that you could do in the level. Like, just as an example, the jewelry level. Like I think it was like the 3rd stage or something, like the jewelry case in the jewelry joint, which was probably the biggest kerfuffle for us outside of the club. But
not real.
Yeah. there was SWAT all over the place, smoke everywhere, ninjas coming in every 5 seconds.
Well, my favorite part, like you're saying, we got to case the joints. My favorite part is you start the game out with surgical gloves on. It's like, oh, this isn't suspicious at all. Let's case the joint now. But yeah, go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
Well, there's the fact that I actually went off to the side and I actually cut a window open and I crawled into the lunchroom in the back. Obviously, it's a private sector, but I could have snuck through there and got the codes for the lock that was on the back door before Luis had to go and break open the lock later. I think he drilled it open at some point. But we could have snuck in through the back if I had gotten the code. We could have all just walked in at the same time.
It's got some nice replayability, man. And I'm down to keep, trying to figure it out. To me, how I saw it is kind of like a multiplayer Hitman. Like, Hitman is like you're trying to case the joint, but it's just by yourself, right? But you have this extra element in Payday that is like, There goes Dalan getting caught by the camera right now. You know,
no, don't you dare put that on me.
It's an example, Dalan. I'm making an example.
Jewelry store, it was Dalan that got caught through the window.
No, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It wasn't. We were in the alley, and I said, Carlos, move. There's a camera, and he was standing right in front of the camera.
And I told you the security guard is in the window looking at you right now. And then we got caught.
Just accept it, Dalan. Anyways, Payday 3. We're having fun with it. It's a Game Pass game, 4-player co-op. I'm down to keep playing it. At least something else, anything else before we kind of get into some Mortal Kombat 1, me and Dalan, I suppose.
But yeah, I'm down to play it again, honestly. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing you guys were saying. Kind of feels like that sort of replayability type of Hitman, where like you can kind of do a level multiple times and try to get different results. So I'm down to check it out.
Or you know what? Now that I think about it, GTA-ish when you do the heist. Right, because a heist you can kind of
I was gonna say that it's GTA first person, and like you're fine without the mask on, but the moment you put that mask on, you better be prepared.
Dalen, we did actually real quick. Dalen, we did play Party Animals for like one round after we got off of unfortunately, isn't crossplay. And Lise couldn't join us.
No, it is. It's just not on Game Pass for PC.
Oh, okay. Well, it's super wacky. It's like the characters seem very heavy and they're constantly wobbling. It's one of those kind of games. And you can get crossbows. You can get like maces. Maces, right? Like little swing around weapon type of things.
And I had a tennis racket. I was smacking people. But the game is like Game Beasts, though. It's from the same makers as Game Beasts.
Oh, there you go. And of course, you can't aim correctly. Your guy is constantly wobbling. You have to time it when he wobbles, sort of where you need him to wobble, and you're shooting that way. But it's pretty wacky. I think we'll kind of tinker with it some more, right, Dalan? What would you feel about it?
Hey, I had 2 moments in that game while we were playing it that I enjoyed the most. At some point when you die, you get to actually see the arena from outside, and the longer it takes, the more stuff you could throw onto the field. At some point, I threw a bomb onto the field, and everybody was tripping the hell out that this bomb just landed next to them suddenly. Yeah. And they scattered real fast. That was funny to me. And the other one was when you tried to throw me off the damn stage. You had me going, and I grabbed onto your beak. I didn't care that I lost. You were going down with me.
It's a fun enough little game. I think it's up to 8 players, right? So I think we might dip back into it, man. I don't know if we want to tell Luis to buy it. I don't know how much it is, but I don't know if we want to go that far.
How much was it, Luis?
Oh, did you grab it?
I didn't check.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But if we'll get, because I think the group that we were playing golfing with friends in the last couple days, a few days ago, they want to play it, right? And it's on Game Pass on Xbox, which they're being wacky. It's not on PC. It should be. But Dalan, we also got into Mortal Kombat 1. That we tried. The online is definitely not working. I don't know if you ever actually got some matches in. I think you and our buddy Abel, buddy in quotes, and it's on wax. So if you see our buddy Abel was playing, and you guys got in a couple hits before it just froze on you, huh? Right? Like
we got a whole round in before it froze on us. But as soon as the round was over, it was like, nah, kicking you out.
Have you gone back to the multiplayer part of it? Have you tried connecting again? How
doing the actual online, like playing against other people online, actually works just fine. The only thing that doesn't work is private matches. Everything else works. It's just the private matches. Yeah. So we can do that thing that we did with what was it? Part 5, that game that you like, that fighting game that you like.
Yeah,
you can do the same thing with Virtual Fighter 5. Is we could open up a room and see if we, by the happenstance of luck, end up being paired with each other to fight.
The only thing is, I think look, I love Virtual Fighter. I think it's one of the most balanced fighting games out there ever. And Soul Calibur is up there too as well. There wasn't as many players on Virtual Fighter, man. We were able to find each other. I think in Mortal Kombat 1, it might be a little harder. But look, I dipped into the story, man, and I didn't play multiplayer. I didn't jump back into that, but I like the story, man. It's cheesy. The graphics are beautiful, right? Polar opposite with the Switch version that looks like trash, like straight trash boy. But Mortal Kombat 1 looks pretty. I like it. The animations are good. The story doesn't take itself too seriously, right? You have Johnny Cage like playing Indiana Jones. Like I was like, okay, I did not expect this to be happening. So I'm liking the story. I don't think it's too long. But just kind of like the previous ones. I think I got like 3-4 characters in. I don't want to do any spoilers or anything, but I got like 3 or 4 because you're switching characters right while the story is going on. I think I'm like four characters in, but I'm excited, man. I'm kind of ready to jump back in there, get into the story. Were you able to do it, or do you even care about the story?
I'm about halfway through the story, and there's this whole air of mystery that comes up. Even though the beginning of the game, with their introductions, even though the beginning of the game with their introductions doesn't take it as seriously as the original Mortal Kombat games, at some point they get into that, oh, this is serious type thing. Yeah. So even I think Johnny Cage is just the comic relief in that instance. Yeah. But outside of that, everybody else is super serious. The game is honestly really fun, and the story itself, I am very much enjoying the story because for Mortal Kombat 1, it is basically retelling an alternate version of all these people's stories and how they got their powers, not just their backstory and this is how they got there. It is literally telling you how they got their powers. I'm not sure if Jax is in this game.
Yeah.
But at some point in the original games, Jax, of course, got his arms ripped off and they got replaced with metal arms. I'm not sure if they're going to end up telling the story the same way, but he's going to get his metal arms.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the story, right? It's very like, I mean, if you like the other games, right, like Injustice and Mortal Kombat, they did it, going back to when they rehashed the whole thing or restarted it. But I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, especially when Sub-Zero and Scorpion come online. My daughter was watching me, and he shoots out his thing. We know what he's gonna say. Everyone knows. And I was like, get over here. He's like, what? You knew he was gonna say that? I was like, well, I've been around. I've been around. She doesn't know, right? She doesn't know. These kids don't know. So she's like, how did you know he was gonna say it? I was like, it's Scorpion. It's Scorpion. But yeah, MK1. Luis, will you be joining us? Maybe we just have to make sure the online is working, right? Then otherwise, I'm sending it back if the story. Once I'm done with the story, but if the online works,
no, I'm gonna keep doing stuff. Like they got the towers that are still fun. They got the tournament mode where you can actually rank up your characters and unlock stuff for your characters. You can unlock more fatalities and brutalities. There's a damn good chance I'm going to keep this one.
Right. From GameFly, by the way, where's that sponsorship from GameFly as well?
From GameFly. Yeah. Because when I had Mortal Kombat 9, that was by itself a game changer. Yeah. For me, and then Mortal Kombat 10 came out, I was like, I'm okay on this because they didn't really do anything special with it. Yeah. And I felt the same thing with 11. But Mortal Kombat 1, they did some special stuff outside of just trying to make it a general.
9, I played through that on Vita, man. And it wasn't, it was low, the graphics were lower, but it wasn't what's going on with the Switch situation. It wasn't that. At least you can say that. Luis, will you be joining us maybe in Mortal Kombat? I think you're a Mortal Kombat fan, right? Or what are you thinking?
Kind of. I mean, there's 2 genres really in particular that I don't necessarily dive into all that often for games, and that's fighting and racing. So and even last time I was going to say, if I'm around, it's like a local play situation, I might jump on. But last time we were at your house, you guys were playing Street Fighter. Like I didn't play. Like it just doesn't interest me.
Yeah, I remember. So. Yeah, I was going to say that. I was like, last time you were here, it was like he was like, that's cool. But Mortal Kombat is the online is just trash. Right, you can't even get a match.
The private matches are trash. Outside of that, the rest of the game works perfectly.
I did, and I did describe. I was thinking because we were playing Street Fighter, and I was thinking you have to get used to the style of fighting game that Mortal Kombat is, and I put it on here on one of my notes. Street Fighter's smooth. It's very very you can kind of react very quickly. To me, Mortal Kombat is blunt force trauma. You're hitting and it's every time it's super hard punches, very kind of calculated. Not that it's bad, but it's very you have to kind of, it's this is how I'm gonna beat the crap out of this person and with the most force possible kind of thing,
if you want to have a comparison for this game, it actually plays almost exactly like Injustice, because that is the
same maker, same creator.
That's the yeah. But same creator doesn't mean you have to have the same mechanics. But in this case, they have the same mechanics because these mechanics work. They work.
Right, there you go. Mortal Kombat 1. I'm sure we're going to have plenty more to say right out because I'm still going to finish the story out and all that. Try to keep it no spoilers, of course. Luis, what else? What you been playing, man?
Yeah, so I know it's been a while since I mentioned Ghostwire Tokyo. I kind of somehow it got put in the back burner. So I went ahead and downloaded it on the other PlayStation living room this past weekend, and I was like, all right, ready to do some ghost wiring. Lo and behold, I was like at the boss battle, and I just had no idea. Like at the final battle, like, I was at the end of the game.
Oh, did you beat the game?
Yeah, I beat the game and like I had like 2 hours left of game to play. Like I didn't even get to. I was expecting to like do more side stories and like get more power ups and this and that. But I might go back because they have a new game plus as most games do these days, and I didn't fully upgrade the upgrade tree.
Yeah.
There's one tree in particular I just like completely ignored. I was like, I'm not interested in that. So maybe if I go part the new game plus, I might, check out what that's all about. But
Yeah.
I still stand by. I don't know if I said this on wax or not, but I still stand by that statement that that DLC that they added, which is the version that's on Plus Supreme that comes with that DLC. That DLC alone of like it's basically like a haunted school. I mean, there's ghosts everywhere in the game, so the haunted part isn't that much of a giveaway. But the like spooky school situation, that to me, that little story is like worth on its own to play. Like you don't even need to play the whole game.
Okay.
So
The
yeah,
game is good, Carlos.
I'll
You're
take
missing
the
out by
win.
not touching
There's
it.
just so much. There's just so
yeah.
much.
Overall, it's a
There's
great
just so
game,
much.
and honestly, the points Dalan makes the same that I had, which is the main story. I'm just not
Forgettable.
interested in it. It's very forgettable, and even when I got to the end, I was like, I mean, I guess. But the gameplay, the world, like everything, the voice acting, the audio, like that overshadows that by a mile. Like I don't mind that the story is not interesting, honestly, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I would totally recommend anyone should play this game, especially if they have Plus Supreme. It's on Game Pass
Gotta
too, I
tinker
think.
with it, man.
So yeah, check it out. Well, I don't know if the Game Pass version comes with the spider.
But I got Plus Supreme right
DLC.
now, so I probably mess with that. That's the most complete, or it has everything, right?
Yes, that's the one that has
PlayStation
everything.
All right. What else you played?
I'm just gonna buy the DLC because I'm gonna keep that game regardless if it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then, as we mentioned last time we recorded, I was finally able to download Starfield. It stopped erroring out on PC. So yeah, I haven't been playing much. Honestly, if I'm going based off of like a regular person's playtime, I think I'm maybe like 3 hours into the game. But for me, it's a little more like 5 or 6. But I'm playing it very slow, and I'm doing maybe like one quest a night if I play that night. So I'm playing it very, very slow. But yeah, so far it's interesting enough. It has me interested. I'm playing it. I think I'm more interested in the story than I am in the gameplay. The gameplay is kind of like okay for me. It's nothing out of this world, but I'm very early in it, so I'm sure I'm getting to weapon crafting, upgrading abilities or whatever that I haven't gotten yet. So
have you been dealing with being over encumbered? Like, do you have to? Or maybe it's just me. I pick up everything, dude, and I'm like, I gotta drop shit now.
When I first started playing, I started running, and I'm like, why am I running out of stamina so quick? Oh, because I have a bunch of shit on.
Why is my oxygen? They really what is it called? They really penalize you, man. It's like your oxygen is going down. You are starting to die. You are starting to die.
Yeah, so I very quickly started to, because I was picking up shit just with the mentality of like, oh, I'll just sell it, right? So I was picking up everything, but now I'm kind of like, all right, I don't need to I'll just pick up the weapons and sell the weapons, or the suits and sell the suits and stuff. So
yeah,
that's kind of my thought process there. But yeah, overall, I am enjoying the game and the gameplay. Hopefully I get to play more. I just need to make more time for it, honestly, because I usually play it like after I play something, and then I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to sleep soon. I'll just play like an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which is kind of cool about the save anywhere type of thing, because that's kind of when I was studying, I think I said it on Wax. I'm like, I'll play a little, I'll study a little bit, then play a little bit, but I couldn't do it that way, man. Even though it's like I'm saving and it was kind of working out. I was like, okay, I did a mission, then back to studying. But at some point, I was like, I just need to fucking focus. I'm just messing around too much at this point. At some point, I was like, I'm not doing anything but focus on taking a test,
Which I don't know if the console version does this, but I learned this just because it has auto saves, and then you kind of see your manual save, auto save, whatever. There's a version that the PC version, which maybe the console does this as well, but it saves when you quit the game. Like it's a separate save that they just do automatically.
I think it does. I think it's pretty good about regularly saving, but I'm still like, I don't know if it's OCD or was like, I need to see it. I clicked the save, I did the thing, even though they're like, this is the symbol, stop fucking around, we're telling you it's saving. I don't trust it. I don't trust the little symbol. All right,
it's like, but I don't want to save here, I wanted to be back there, let me be back there.
Yeah, that too actually. Anything else on that, Luis, or you're good?
Yeah, no real full impressions yet. I guess the one thing is, I will say I feel like I'm being penalized a lot with the health situation right now. Like I'm having a difficult time trying to stay alive. I haven't died often, but it is I'm having to like peek corners and shit. And
that's
like
interesting.
full.
Yeah, I don't think I've felt, but maybe it's the class of character. Maybe I picked one with like more health, because you pick at the beginning of the game, you pick a class, right? A type of character.
You pick your perks for your.
I mean, that only just picks your initial perks. Really, is all it does.
Maybe I extra focus on the health, because I don't feel like that's the case. But hey, I don't even know what character I picked. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I just know it seems like it's okay. But yeah, we have a bunch of health packs, right? Is that anything else? Dalan, what else you been playing, man? What ended on you, man?
Aside from Mortal Kombat 1 or the fact that Starfield came out on the Game Pass, around the same time, Lies of P came out on the Game Pass. And
Pinocchio roguelike. Pinocchio roguelike. Is it Pinocchio
roguelike? That's what Lies of P stands for. It stands for Lies of Pinocchio. But hey, it's very steampunk, middle of London, post-apocalyptic. Like all the puppets in the area have gone rampant.
Nicole's kind of, that's her thing. She likes that, right? She likes all that stuff.
She was interested when we watched the trailer because it showed some of the gameplay, it showed the video, but I didn't look into it too deeply. But then when I started playing it, dude, it's Dark Souls. It's Dark Souls.
That is exactly what it is. Yeah,
no. It is not a Souls-like Pinocchio. Yeah. It is a Pinocchio-like Souls game. Yeah. It is straight up a Souls game, but you have the skin of Pinocchio flashed over this entire thing. So I got about an hour into it. After a couple of difficult-ass battles, I was like, you know what? I do not want to stress myself with this game, and I deleted it from my ass.
That's why I haven't played it.
I'll probably try that, like I do with all these games, and they never convince me, dude. Even Elden Ring, people are like convinced it's the most amazing game. And actually, I've read people do some good arguments for Elden Ring. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That I see why you love it. It doesn't click with me. It will never click with me, this type of game, but people love that shit, man. I hope they have fun with it. But okay,
I'm not always there for the challenge. Sometimes I'm there for the challenge. Period. Like Mortal Kombat, I'm there for the challenge. But for a game where I wanted to go through the story, have a little fun action adventure type thing going on, this is not that game. Yeah. I'm sure that the game is beautiful as you go forward. I'm sure that the story is great, but I will never know.
Dude, I honestly look, they can have their games. They can have that type of game. Can we just stick to like one roguelike a year, please? And then work on other games. Give me more God of War.
Give me more God of War.
It's just people, they like them too much, man. Whatever the case is, they like them too. There's a reason why they keep making these type of games, right? Like, they just like them. What else did you play, Damon?
I have actually been trying to get through Sea of Stars because my wife beat the game already. Nice. She put some hours into that. She is trying to platinum it. She is getting pretty damn close. Nice. But this game definitely pulls from
it's very platinumable from what I
understand. It is. Yeah. It is platinumable. You definitely have to do the new game plus at least once, but it's very platinumable. And you can skip through the text. You don't have to just hit X all day. You can hold R1 and X and you'll see the text fly. This is what it does. It's just boxes going. But the thing about the game for me is that it is definitely pulling from that Chrono Trigger nostalgia. So if you're not a person that likes 16-bit RPGs, definitely not for you. But if you don't mind a good 16-bit RPG with a story that is excellent and very aware that it is a video game, you will very much enjoy this game.
But from what I understand, some of the grammar is a little rough. throughout the game. You haven't noticed anything out of the ordinary?
It is super rare when they get a grammar issue like that. It's maybe like 2 or 3 boxes of text. Out of like 3 hours of gameplay, you might catch 1 or 2 things, maybe. But for the most part, the game is just excellent the entire way. Yeah. And it's not too hard of a game. They don't put the level of difficulty
no boss rush. No boss rush mode at the very
end. There's no. I guess you haven't gotten to the end. Well, Nicole has, so I could actually still speak on it. There is a trophy where you have to equip a relic that reduces your health by 95%. However, if you do the counter properly, whenever something hits you, you can hit X to reduce your damage. You can hit X and it will reduce all damage to 1. You have to kill 10 bosses that way. So you could do that during New Game Plus. And apparently it's a pretty simple thing because Nicole is doing it. She's on like boss 6 already. She's just doing it. There you go. But again, the game is fun. If you don't want that much of a challenge, even for as easy as the game is, they have more relics that'll make it easier for you. Like you get 100% health back after a fight, or your character will automatically block sometimes when you don't press something. Yeah. So you could make the game easier.
That one is further away on my backlog, but it's there as well. What else, Dalan? Vampire will end it on this one, right? You're playing something.
Vampire will end it on this one.
Vampire will end it on this one. Survivors.
I'm going to give full credit to Ricky on this one because I did not know this game existed. It is on Xbox Game Pass. However, it is a local game. It is local multiplayer. It does not have an online mode.
Which they did. I didn't include it in the news, but they asked the creator, and he was like, it's something we're looking into. But it's kind of the type of game that is a little hard, right? It's Geometry Wars passivism. Was it passivism mode or whatever that was in Geometry Wars, sort of?
It's like a dual stick shooter, but you don't have to use both sticks. It's just one stick. But it's basically Castlevania, but simplified like a motherfucker. And you just killing things, getting experience. When you level up, you get one of 3 random items that you can actually select. And you can just keep leveling those up. You can evolve those weapons, and the more you level them up, and the more you evolve them, the more of those items that you shoot out, or the more defense that you have, the higher HP that you can potentially get, depending on what you have. But they consistently, 100%, keep throwing enemies at you, and it just gets more and more thick as it goes on. And every so often, they throw a little boss at you. You can kill them and get a chest from it.
Were you a fan of Geometry Wars? This is because from what I've seen of the game, it's very Geometry Wars-ish. Just the pacifist mode, I guess, where you don't shoot, or like you do shoot, I assume, or whatever. But you're kind of running. You're running, right? You're running.
You're definitely running. You're dodging enemies most of the time, but you need to make sure you get the right weapons to be able to withstand what the hell's going on. Because if you get nothing but weapons that shoot all out in the distance, you're not going to hit anything that's close to. And you're just gonna get beat up and die. Yeah. But honestly, you get to unlock characters. You get gold every time you do a run. You could buy it. You can upgrade what happens when you level up, and it honestly just keeps me going back to want to keep playing the game, especially if I have somebody to play with.
How many players local? You could do local co-op?
Local, it's 4 player.
Okay, maybe I convinced my child to kind of play with it.
She would probably play that with you and enjoy it.
I've been meaning to get around to it. Look, we went way over on our time. Well, we usually get like 90 minutes, but we're way over this time. But we have plenty to talk about, so hopefully you guys were entertained. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what again, Dalan?
The master of the Xbox, what was it? The Xbox Game Chat. That's what it was. Because you were terrible at it. You were messing up so hard.
The lack of mastery of the Xbox Game Chat. I'm Carlos Macias. Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you so much, sir, for coming around. Okay, that's interesting, the movements you're making. Mendes on the wheels of steel. Of course, sir, like we said before, he sounds maybe a little lower. We'll fix it one of these days. I think we can hear him this time. But remember, the audio, which he engineers, is kind of a beautiful thing. It's very clear. Everything's good on that. Thank you, Luis.
Say it, Luis. You know you wanted to say it.
What does he want to say?
No, nothing else. Just moving the mic closer.
Okay, there we go. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Latest.